Okay, hello everybody. My name is Brenda Peterson. I'm the scholarship coordinator for Premier College. Today we're going to be reviewing the scholarship portal, GSSP, how you can apply for scholarships, answer questions that have been submitted recently, and be able to assist you so you can apply for our upcoming scholarship deadline. Chelsea, I know there were some questions that were submitted. Before I go into the process, I want to answer those questions.
Absolutely. Okay, so our first one is, what is a scholarship and how is it different from a loan or grant?
So a scholarship can be awarded based on merit or need or both. And they are usually you have to apply for a scholarship, but with a loan or a grant, that's usually federal aid. So you have to apply using the FAFSA or a private loan. A loan is funding that you do have to repay. And a grant, for example, like the Pell Grant, it's not something you have to repay, but it is normally need-based. And that is used to calculate, that is calculated based on like income and information that's submitted on the FAFSA.
Right. Okay, so you're saying that the FAFSA isn't required for the scholarships.
Correct. So there are some scholarships that are need-based, and those do require a FAFSA, but we have many scholarships that are merit-based. And even if there isn't a GPA requirement, it's still considered merit just because merit would be registration or good academic standing. But yes, they are separate, like a separate application.
Okay. And following off of that, are scholarships are available for students with high grades or athletic abilities?
That's a great question. We have various scholarships that don't have a GPA requirement, or you don't have to be an athlete to receive it. We have various scholarships based on your major, based on the essay responses, based on community service. So we do have over 100 scholarships with different qualifications. I've seen the lowest GPA requirement to be a 2.5. If there is a GPA requirement, some just say, hey, you have to be in good academic standing, and good academic standing is at least a 2.0 GPA. So yeah, I wouldn't be discouraged if you have a low GPA, because although you may not qualify for the ones that do have a GPA requirement, you could be eligible for various other scholarships.
Okay, perfect. So with all this information, this last question, how do I know if a scholarship is right for me?
A scholarship will always be right for you because it's free funding. It's the great thing about GSSP, which I'm going to go over, is that it's like a one-stop shop. You complete the application and you could qualify for multiple scholarships. So a scholarship will always be right for you because it can assist with your tuition and fees. If you have financial aid that's covering tuition and fees, you can receive a refund from the scholarship. So I always encourage students to apply for scholarships because it's just additional resource to assist you with receiving that additional funding. So yeah, don't get discouraged if you have a low GPA or if you are part-time, whatever the case may be. As long as you're an enrolled student, you can be eligible to receive scholarships.
That's awesome. Great.
Mhm.
Just to clarify, what does GSSP stand for?
So GSSP stands for Georgia State Scholarship Portal. This is our one-stop shop pretty much for all institutional scholarships. You can receive scholarships from Premier College, and if and when you transition to the Atlanta campus, this is the same portal they use to process their scholarships. We also, as a Premier College student, you can also receive university-wide scholarships, which are processed by the Atlanta campus. So any institutional scholarship, this is pretty much where you'll want to go to apply for that. And the website is GSU, it's up here on the top, gsu.academicworks.com. And this is what you'll see once you visit the website. It gives you instructions on how to complete the application. So we do have normally when you I'm going to walk you through the scholarship process, but you'll see it tells you to complete the general application and any supplemental applications that are available to you. And then if you come down here to the bottom, you'll be able to filter the Premier College scholarship list. And as you can see, we have some coming up with it. These deadlines will always be updated, but you'll be able to click on the scholarship, review its qualifications. But yeah, this is our scholarship portal. This is GSSP.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited to learn about this process.
Yes, I'm excited to explain it. So what you'll want to do is once you visit GSSP, so again, gsu.academicworks.com, on the upper right-hand corner, you'll want to go ahead and sign in using your GSU credentials. And this is what will appear once you log in. So on the left, you'll see that we have the general application and any supplemental application that you're eligible for. You will see this on the left, and I would highly advise you to complete it. You definitely want to make sure you complete the general application and the Premier College supplemental application. So we have some application tips at the very top. I'm just going to go over those really quickly, but required fields are marked with an asterisk. All other fields are optional. So what I would advise you to do, because I get various questions, why are we asking these questions? Why is the application process so long? I can be honest and let you know that it will take you about an hour and a half the first time around to complete the application. However, the great thing about GSSP is that it saves your questions. So when it's time to renew the application, your questions are saved. It's a lot quicker to submit it. You might want to do some edits or see if we've added any additional questions. But the more questions that you ask, the higher probability you'll have to match to various scholarships. The thing is that we ask these questions because they are linked to different scholarships. So definitely, yes, you are going to answer the questions that are marked with an asterisk, but you want to answer the questions that also apply to you. So again, yes, complete as much of the application as possible to qualify for multiple scholarships. Once you start the application, if you need to finish it at a later time, at the bottom here, you can click save and keep editing so you can come at a later time to submit the application. And once you are ready to submit the application, at the bottom right here, you'll click finish and submit. Award notifications are submitted from to your Panther email. So you want to just make sure you monitor your student email. And if you are offered a scholarship, you'll also receive an email to accept the scholarship in GSSP. So you'll go to this portal to accept it. So as we go down on the application, you'll see we have general questions. You'll notice not marked with an asterisk, but again, answer as many questions as you can, answer the questions that apply to you. The essay prompts, these are required. And a tip that I have for you is you might say, okay, how long does the essay have to be? We usually have a word count or like a suggested word count. You can stay within that word count. If you type out the essay in a Word document, it does count your words for you. So it kind of gives you a good idea of how many words you have. And as you can see, this scholarship, you can qualify for up to 100 scholarships just by answering this question. And we have more essay prompts. And then we go into military law enforcement. Again, answer questions that apply to you. And as we go down to the bottom, one thing I want to advise you is make sure you sign it electronically. That way you have once you hit finish and submit, you have officially submitted it. If you have a reference, so if you have a reference from employer or work supervisor, you can enter the reference name and the reference email. And what will happen is the recommender will receive an email to submit the recommendation letter on your behalf. And so you don't have to upload it or anything like that. They'll do that for you. You just want to make sure that you notify them that they're going to receive that email. But yes, it's their name and email that you'll want to add to this section. Now, once you complete the general application, we'll go back up and we'll click on the Premier College supplemental application. With the Premier College supplemental application, you'll see that we'll have our upcoming deadline, March 1st, and this is to be reviewed for summer and fall 2025 scholarships. So we have the same application tips from the general application. And right here, you'll notice that we have reference Premier College staff college/faculty reference. So if you have an employer that's from Premier College, if you have a professor, an advisor that is a Premier College faculty or staff member, you'll want to add that reference here. And the reason you don't want to add it to the general application is because it's linked differently. So again, you want to make sure you add a Premier College faculty or staff member reference here. Same thing, you'll add the name. Bill will receive a notification to complete that on your behalf. We go down to general essays. As you notice, we don't have any asterisk next to the general essays because these are optional, but again, you want to answer the questions that apply to you. So we go down all primary students, that means you can be eligible to answer this. And then as we go down, we have general questions, and then it's broken up into different majors. So if you're business administration majors, you'll want to answer this question. If you're not, skip it. And you can scroll down and you'll see we have other various majors listed. And then same thing with the general application, you'll want to make sure that you sign it electronically and then submit it. So again, if you need to save it, you can save it for a later time. Really, like I said, it's going to take about an hour and a half to complete it. But the great thing about GSSP is, or how we determine what scholarships you're eligible for, is the system auto matches you to scholarships that you qualify for based on the answers that you answer, or the questions that you answer on the application, and different data points that we pull from the system. For example, like your GPA, your major, your registration hours. So previously, when you had to look at a list of scholarships and say, okay, I want to apply for this one and apply just for that scholarship. But we kind of took that work out, and again, this is the one-stop shop. So you go ahead and complete one application, and it'll match you to various scholarships that you qualify for. And with another great thing about GSSP is that the application is saved for a year. So for example, okay, you complete the application now. That means that you'll be eligible for summer and fall scholarships. Well, we have another deadline after that, which is July 1st, and that's to award any remaining fall scholarships. You'll meet that application deadline as well. And then the final deadline that we have is October 1st, which is for spring 2026 scholarships. If you submit the application now, then you technically have met that deadline as well. You have to renew the application every November 1st, or after November 1st is like when it restarts. But as I mentioned previously, your answers will be saved. It'll be an easier submission, a lot quicker, but you'll think of it almost like your FAFSA. Your FAFSA, you have to renew it every year for the next academic year. This is very similar. You can always make edits or add any information after any time, really. But you just want to make sure you make those edits and submit those changes by the next deadline. So I know that's a lot of information. um, but we do have other questions that were submitted that I want to answer. And I don't know if maybe, Chelsea, you have any questions based on the information that I provided that you might think students might have.
Yeah, you covered a lot of the questions that we had for the application process. You covered all of them. We do have a little bit for eligibility and things like that, if you're ready to get into those.
Yeah, we can get into those. I
Okay.
want to, let me stop sharing really quickly.
Okay.
And then it was right here the whole time. I was blocked by the little section. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Here we go. This was in the way. So I want to go over also the scholarship website. And again, these were the upcoming deadlines that I recently noted, but I'll have this here while we go
Okay.
over those questions.
Okay. So the first one was, what are common requirements for scholarships?
So the common requirements that I normally see are very general. Some of them are, again, you have to be in good academic standing. You have to be registered in a certain amount of credit hours, either part-time or full-time. GPA, the lowest I've seen is a 3.5, oh, 2.5 GPA. Highest usually is like a 3.5. We have different scholarships for community service. Highly advise you to submit a reference and answer those essay prompts. Those essay prompts, if you noticed it had, for example, I'll do perimeter. Oh, this one doesn't list it, but on the general application, it links how many scholarships you can could potentially be eligible for just by answering that question. And the reason it's 100 plus is because it's linked to a lot of student success scholarships, which is through the Atlanta campus, which you can qualify for as a permanent college student. So definitely highly advise you to answer those essay prompts, get a reference if you can. If you've done community service, submit that information, and really answer any of the questions that you could potentially answer just by them, if they speak to you, if you qualify for them, if you are participating in anything, you want to make sure you answer those questions. Yeah, here,
Okay.
100 plus.
Yeah, I see that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I believe you already answered this next question with that response, but so part-time students are eligible for scholarships.
Correct. Yes, because some don't, they just say as long as you're a permanent college student, you're eligible. So sometimes we do have credit hours requirements, but a lot of times we don't. So yes, if you're part-time or full-time, you can qualify for scholarships.
Okay. So what if you're a non-citizen or an international student? Are you still eligible?
Great question. Yes, we do have a lot of scholarships that are available for international students. Many, as long as they don't have unmet need requirement, because that's tied to the FAFSA.
Mhm.
And as long as it doesn't have a citizenship requirement, then you can qualify for that scholarship as an international student.
Okay. Do you know of any scholarships for adult learners or non-traditional students
Yeah, we
available?
do have some. So, if I go back to the opportunities, you can filter here by, so we have, of course, by major, premier college, that's all premier college scholarships. I want to say that institutional initiatives, we will have traditional, we'll have scholarships for non-traditional students. So those are returning, those that had like a, a time lapse, but from when they previously attended. So yeah, we do have those available for non-traditional students.
Okay, great. Um, so after they complete the application process, how will students know if they've been awarded a scholarship through the portal?
So that's a great question. So if you are selected for a scholarship, you will receive an email to your student email letting you know, hey, you've been selected for this scholarship. Please accept the scholarship in GSSP. So it'll direct you back to this portal. And then once you click on my applications, you'll have various alerts on your dashboard. And, if you've submitted it, it'll show submitted, but underneath attention, it'll let you know, hey, you have a scholarship to accept. You'll want to accept the scholarship. And then it'll also have an alert of post acceptance, which is like a 5-minute survey that you need to complete it's like a thank you note for the donor. And it does help with future funding. So you will get a notification to complete those 2 requirements.
Okay. And then, so once they get it accepted, how and when is the scholarship money dispersed?
So once they accept it, usually it's posted to their account within 24 hours because at that point in time, financial aid, they they've gone through the workflow. Financial aid has approved their scholarship and they have, once they accept it, it's basically posted to their PAWS portal. So if you have any tuition and fees, it'll go towards that, or any housing or any other expense, it'll go towards that. And if you have a $0 balance, then you'll just receive that as a refund.
Okay. That actually answered the next question,
Mhm.
which was, can I use my scholarship funds for expenses beyond tuition, such as housing or books?
Yes, you
So
can.
it would be dispersed just like a typical refund where they could choose either a check or a direct deposit.
Yeah, it's done through Bank Mobile. So Bank Mobile will give them the option if they want to keep the funding with Bank Mobile and they get like a credit card, or if they want to transfer to their personal bank account.
Okay. And then is scholarship money taxable?
It shouldn't be taxable because it shouldn't be. So that gets a little tricky. I know normally, I think gr- certain scholarships, well, these institutional scholarships shouldn't be taxable. I should say that they shouldn't be taxable. However, students that they normally once it's like time to once the year is over, they get what's called a 1099, which is processed through student accounts, and they their other aid might be taxable, but these scholarships that should not be taxable.
Okay.
And I know that gets into the nitty gritty, but that'll be more of a question for student accounts once they get that form. But these scholarships shouldn't be taxable.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and how long does scholarship aid usually last? Is it a drop, instant direct drop of all of it, or does it um, break up over the year?
It depends on the scholarship. So there are some scholarships that are split between fall and spring. There's not that many. Normally, the scholarship they are awarded within that semester alone. So once a student receives a scholarship, normally if they receive it in fall, they will receive a notification letting them know, okay, this scholarship is for fall and spring, but which they can see that on their PALS portal. But normally, again, we don't have many scholarships like that. Normally, they're just posted within that one term,
Okay.
and they have to qualify for scholarships for the next term.
Okay. So speaking of that, does my GPA or credit hours affect my requirements for keeping my scholarship? I guess they're asking similar to how the
Mhm.
Hope has requirements that you must meet.
Yeah, so for example, this upcoming deadline, March 1st, that is gonna review your eligibility for summer and fall scholarships. So if you receive a we're gonna send out notification like April, like hey, if you've been selected, you're gonna receive the scholarship for fall. And if by the end of the spring term, once grades are submitted, you do have to maintain eligibility. So if the scholarship requires a certain GPA, then yes, once grades are submitted, you do have to maintain that GPA in order to receive the scholarship for the following semester. If if it even requires you to have a certain major, and then you end up, changing your major during the summer, you can lose eligibility. Or even registration, you're required to be enrolled in 12 credit hours, but during the fall, you're not enrolled in 12 credit hours, then that can hinder you from receiving the scholarship. So yes, if you are selected to receive a scholarship, if you have, there are some requirements you have to maintain in order to receive the scholarship for the following semester, because that's normally how it works. You apply for the scholarship, the previous term, and you have to maintain those that eligibility.
Okay,
But
that
once
makes
it's
sense.
dispersed, that's your funding.
Hmm.
But prior to that, you do have to maintain the eligibility. So it just
Okay.
depends on the scholarship, I will say that.
So will winning a scholarship affect the financial aid package that they receive? Do they
It's
ever?
only if it's need based. So if it's need based, so what ends up happening is financial aid they determine your cost of attendance, and your cost of attendance is basically your budget of how much funding you could receive within that academic year. So I would say that if you have like Hope, Pell, like your regular federal aid, and then you have a scholarship, you should be fine. But then you have times where students receive multiple scholarships, or they have a private loan, or they have, so that could affect it could affect it, but on average, it doesn't. However, if you are over budget, then financial aid will work with you so that way you can maintain your scholarship. Maybe they might reduce your loan. Um, but on average, it shouldn't. If it does affect your aid, then you'll work with financial aid to make sure that you're able to keep your funding. They'll have other options for you.
Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
So here's another question we got. I've applied to over 100 scholarships and I haven't gotten any acceptances. Am I doing something wrong?
Um, it is so when you apply for a scholarship, it's not a guarantee that you'll receive a scholarship, but there might be some revision we want to look into. So if you do have a question, you've already submitted your scholarship, I would advise you to email right here. It says pcscholarships@gcu.edu, and I can review the application and give you some pointers if it's needed. Um, However, I wouldn't be discouraged if you weren't selected. I can give you an example. I had a student who was an honors college student. They completed the application, and for 2 semesters in a row, they didn't receive any scholarships. But then the following year, they received 2 scholarships. So it's not a guarantee that you will receive scholarships if you complete the application. And I will note that is highly competitive. However, don't be discouraged because you could receive a scholarship like this student the following year. And maybe there is some revision that we want to look into. So yeah, definitely email pcscholarships@gcu.edu. I can look into that for you. I would highly advise you to have a reference if you can. We have a lot of scholarships that require a premier college faculty staff reference. Any type of employment that you have listed, any type of experience, any type of community service. We do have a lot of scholarships that, require community service. So yes, it might need some revision and I can assist you with that. Maybe your essay prompts are too long or too short, we can look into that, but you just want to send me an email with your name and Panther ID and I'll look into that for you.
So, this PC scholarships at gsu.edu, if they ever have questions, they can email them there
Yes.
and you'll
That's
answer them
correct.
for them. Okay,
Yes. hmm
perfect. All right. So we have gone through all of the questions.
Okay, great.
I guess I just have one for myself.
Yeah.
Um, what is your biggest tip or advice when going through this application process? Some students feel like they get a little lost in it a little bit.
Yeah. I would advise you to really set some time apart on your calendar. Okay, this Saturday afternoon, I'm going to take an hour, 2 hours of my time to really sit down and complete the application, get comfortable, get some coffee, get some tea, go outside, whatever you need to do to really get in the mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna set the time apart to complete the application. With the essay prompts, you can get a little personal because it does go into like how can this scholarship assist you? What are some challenges that you faced, as a college student? So what I would advise you is to be honest and really, but answer with what you're comfortable with answering. Um, we just want to see, an authentic response. Um, Stay within the word count. And I know in this era with ChatGPT and AI, if you use that and just copy and paste, we can tell. I promise you we can tell. So I don't think it's a not a helpful it's a helpful resource, but you have to use it to your advantage. So for example, if you want to answer this question, um, open up Word document, go ahead and start typing it like how you would authentically answer it. And then, okay, can you review my spelling? Can you review my grammar? Can you review, punctuation, whatever the case may be? And then that can give you more of an authentic response with how you answered it instead of just copying and pasting this question in, AI and then having AI answer it for you. I promise you we can tell. If you use Word document so you can look at your word count and also I've gotten also some feedback from students letting me know that sometimes, not always, but sometimes they might be timed out. So I would go ahead and just answer the question in Word doc, and then that way you can just copy and paste it into the application and submit it once you're done. But yeah, I think those are the tips that I would tell students. Don't get discouraged. This is a really helpful resource because it's good for the year. So if you might not be selected for one semester, you can be selected for the following semester. Um, you could be eligible for university-wide scholarships, which is processed by the Atlanta campus. I've seen a lot of Premier College receive those as well. So yeah, that's what I would tell students. And if they have any questions, they can always send an email and we'll get back to them.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Brenda.
No problem.